Okay, so great job with your stories. I loved hearing that. So let's open up your binders now. And I want you to, we're going to organize a little bit here, but I want you to keep in the front pocket. Actually, you're going to need this today. So this one that we worked on last week, don't put this away yet. So keep this one out. And then this pink page, keep in your pocket. This is going to stay in your pocket, in the front pocket. And then the rest of your stuff for the picnic or tortoise can go away now in finished compositions or wherever you keep your finished stuff. So go ahead and put that away. And then you're going to get out the next week. So this pink page stays in your pocket. Everything else you can put away. And then keep your notes out from last week. And then this is week 17. We're moving on now to research papers again. Okay, so it's been super fun hearing your creative stories, but we will come back to that hopefully before the end of the year. I'm not sure we'll have time, but of course, if you get inspired and you want to write a part 3, Nisaya, feel free to do that. You can keep your story going. It's one of those stories that keeps evolving, which I like. You know, you can actually turn it into like even a chapter book or something. So, but go ahead and get this one out. This is week 17. It is called Tortoises. It's different than the picture of the tortoise that you guys wrote about. So this is actually talking about real tortoises. And I think there's 6 pages here, so it's kind of a lot. You do need a lined piece of paper too, a blank one. Yeah, there's 6 pages here. So get out week 17 and this page from last week with our notes and a blank lined page. When you're ready, give me a thumbs up. Thank you, William. Week 17. Okay, thank you for that. And then your notes from last week and then a blank lined page. And we're gonna start with your notes. It looks like Camille had to step out for a second. So I'm gonna talk to you, remind you about our notes that we took last week. This is the new unit we're talking about called summarizing multiple references. We talked about that word summarizing means telling part of the information. Are you good, Camila? Okay. And summarizing, you're telling some. They didn't spell it right. Remember, S-U-M. It should be S-O-M-E, some information. Multiple means more than one. And then references is where the information comes from, right? The references. And then we talked about what those references could be. Here, we listed these, and they're also called sources. So we have a book, an expert you could go interview, a website, an encyclopedia, a magazine, a documentary, a museum, or just go and see. So if you're writing a research paper about volcanoes, you can use these sources to help you find information about volcanoes, okay? The other thing we talked about is the steps here. These are the steps in writing a research paper. You have to start with knowing what your subject is, and then you have to, number 2, look for possible topics. You guys have done that before in other articles that we've read. And then this is the new part right here. It's called source outlines or KWOs. You know what those are. But source outlines is a little different, which I'm going to show you today. And then there's what's called a fused outline. And the fused outline is, that word fused means like glued together or stuck together. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do this about using the information about tortoises. So on your new piece of paper here, I want you to go ahead and put your name and date at the top left. Today is 4/25/24. And we're going to skip a line, and in the middle, we're going to put that word tortoises, because that's what our subject is, okay? We know our subject is tortoises. So we already did step 1 of the steps that we have to do to write research papers. Now, I do want you to, right underneath tortoises, skip a line, and you're just going to draw a line down a little ways, about that far. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just about that far. And then on the left side, I want you to put an A with a box around it. And then on the right side, I want you to put a B. Now, A and B are going to represent two different sources or references, okay? Because remember, we're learning how to summarize multiple references. So our A and B for tortoises, they're going to be both articles because they provide that for you in this binder. So you're going to have two separate articles about tortoises. So A is going to represent the first article about tortoises, and B is going to represent the second article. And we're going to read those in a second. Article A, I am going to give you a sneak peek of the title. So I want you to write right underneath that. It's called Sleepy Tortoise. Sleepy Tortoise. Let me zoom in so you guys can see that better. Go. And then we're going to build a KWO. You guys know those. You've been doing it for a long time now. So right underneath that, we're going to put a Roman numeral 1, and then you're going to go 1 through 5. Remember, move over a little bit from the side here. So the 1, the Roman numeral 1 goes right next to the red line. And then we move over a little bit for 1 through 5. And number 5 can be in parentheses. And that means you have to have 4. But if you see one more fact that you want to include, you can include 5, but not 6. That's too many. So you have to have 4, maybe 5 if you need it. And then on this side, under the letter B, this article is called the Desert Tortoise. And you're going to do the same thing with a Roman numeral 1 again, and then 1 through 5. And 5 is going to be in parentheses here. We're just setting this up, and then we're going to start reading the articles, and I'll show you how this works. Now, skipping down below here a little bit, I'm going to skip a line under my middle line here. I want you to write the words fused outline and underline that. Fused outline. And we talked about that word fuse last week. There's different ways you can fuse things together: glue, tape, staples, welding something together. There's lots of, you could sew something together. So anything that's fused is going to be stuck together, okay, with something. So in writing, we're going to take all the information we get here from this article and the information we get here from this article, and we're going to bring them all together down here in the fused outline. So this is going to be a Roman numeral 1. Again, these are all 1, 1, 1. Okay. And this one's going to be 1 through 6. And you might be thinking, well, if there's 5 here and there's 5 here, that's 10. But on the fused, we only have 6. If you notice that, that's good, because that means you're going to have more facts than you need. So we're going to pick our favorite facts and the ones that we think would be good for this paper, this report. And we're going to put it down here on the fused outline. So now we're all set to start reading. So the next step is going to be to read the articles. So go ahead and find this one right here called Sleepy Tortoises. This is the first article on page 143. And the first thing I want you to do is right above here where it says source text 17.1, I want you to put an A with a box around it like that. Right at the top. Source text 17.1, and I put an A here because I want to make sure that it's super clear that that A is going to go with this A. The A's are going to go together. Okay, this is the name of that article, Sleepy Tortoise. I think I forgot to put an S at the end, tortoises. Fix that. But this A goes with this A, okay, on our outline. I think we did a report a while back. Oh yeah, we did. We did one on desert reptiles. You remember back when we did that one? We also did a report on Antarctica a while back. Oh yeah, and Marco Polo. You guys remember all those things that we worked on in the past? And we're going to do the same thing where I read the article and you guys are going to look for information that you think is interesting or relevant. I'm going to help you with this one. This is going to go, we're going to do this part together, but I'm going to read and then we'll talk about some things that are interesting that maybe we can underline as far as facts. It may be hot and dry in the deserts of the southwestern United States, but many animals live there, including the desert tortoise. Now, I think it's interesting that it's in the United States, but it's kind of not super detailed like where in the United States, just southwestern. So I'm not going to underline yet. Remember, we're only picking 4 or maybe 5. So I'm going to hold off on that. A tortoise, unlike its turtle cousin, lives most of its life on dry land, whereas a turtle spends most of its life in the water. I think I will underline life on dry land. I think that's interesting. Different than a turtle. So go ahead and underline that too. They have round and stumpy feet instead of webbed feet like turtles. Kind of interesting, but I'm going to keep going. Tortoises cannot swim. That's kind of interesting. Tortoises cannot swim. A desert tortoise can actually live without drinking water for an entire year. I'm going to underline that. Live without drinking water for an entire year. That is because it gets water from the plants it eats. Okay, I'm going to underline that part. Water from the plants it eats. Some people have desert tortoises as pets. I'm going to keep going. However, they may not be moved across state borders or captured from the wild. They can only be given as a gift from one private owner to another. Tortoise owners should have large fenced yards with lots of shade, as well as sunny areas where the tortoises can bask. That might be a good one. I'm going to underline large fenced yards with lots of shade as well as sunny areas. And then because tortoises hibernate, I am going to underline hibernate. Pet owners should have a place for them to sleep from October through February. Okay, so notice I skipped some stuff. I didn't underline everything because really we don't need everything, right? We're only picking some things. So we have about 1, 2, 3. Decide which ones are best. Can you guys hear me okay? My computer is giving me notifications. Are you guys good? Okay. Let me check something really quick here. Okay. So going back to this now, we're going to start transferring some facts to our outline. Roman numeral 1, we are talking about the desert tortoise. So for Roman numeral 1 right here, I want you to put desert, comma, tortoise. That is what we're talking about here. And then this life on dry land, I have 6 things underlined, so I'm going to wait on that one. I'm not sure I'm going to use that one, but I do think it's interesting that tortoises cannot swim. And it kind of works because that's 3 words. So we're gonna have to squeeze our words kind of small on this page, but tortoises cannot, and then swim, kind of write small so you can fit it in if you can there. Tortoises cannot swim. For the next one, the next thing we underlined was live without drinking water for an entire year. I think I'm going to put live and then without water. I'm going to put water and then I'm going to cross it out. I'm going to circle the word water and cross it out. And then I'm going to put the number 1 and then year. You can live without water for a year. Looking back here, it says they get their water from plants it eats. That's kind of interesting. Water from plants. Normally I let you guys do this by yourself, but I'm going to show you how this fused outline works. So that's why I gotta show you this part too. Okay. So water from plants. That's number 3. Number 4, fenced yards with lots of shade as well as sunny areas. That's if you have a pet tortoise. And maybe I should say here, as a pet, I'm going to put pet. And I'm going to put need. I'm going to draw a little sunshine and shade. So basically they need areas of sunshine, but they also need shade. And then that last one, they hibernate. I am going to use my 5. We don't always have to do that, but on this one I will. Hibernate, sleep. And then I'm going to put October through February. So I'm going to abbreviate. I'm going to use a line below that. October - February, like this. Okay, thumbs up when you're ready. You got that down. I know I'm going kind of fast, but I want to show you how this works. Okay, thank you. Okay. So far we've got Roman numeral 1, desert tortoise. 1 says tortoises cannot swim. 2, live without water 1 year. 3, water from plants. 4, pet need sun, shade. 5, hibernate, sleep, October through February. You good, Camila? Okay. Over here, we're going to move on now to the next article because that was the end of that article. That was it. Now there's a second article, and this one is also going to be about desert tortoise. So at number 1, I want you to write that again. Oops, I spelled it wrong. Desert, comma, tortoise. Tortoise is spelled weird with an O-I, but that's just one of the weird words in English that we have. Okay, and once you get that written down, I want you to find the second article in your packet, which is this one, called The Desert Tortoise. That's the second article. There's 2 articles. This is multiple references. This is more than one. And we're going to do the same thing here at the top. You're going to put a B with a box around it because this article is going to go with B. Okay, so at the top here where it says source text 17.2, I want you to put a B above that. That B is going to match this B. So all the information we get from here is going to go on this outline here. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to read. I'm going to do this with you. So I'll be underlining with you here. Our goal is 4 or 5 facts. Desert tortoises live in the Mojave and Sonoran deserts of Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and California. We know Mojave. I'm going to underline that. Mojave and Sonoran deserts. Those are both, well, Mojave's in California. I think Sonoran is actually in Arizona. And these other states. They are herbivores, meaning they eat only plants such as cactus, primrose, hibiscus, and dandelion. I'm going to wait on that because I know tortoises eat plants. Because there is not much water in the desert, these animals get their water mostly from the food they eat. Okay, so we already got that in our other outline. In fact, they can live without drinking water for up to a full year. Okay, we already got that in the other outline. A female tortoise lays a clutch of 4 to 6 eggs in late summer. So I am going to underline that. Female tortoise, clutch of 4 to 6 eggs. After 3 to 4 months, the baby tortoises emerges. I'm going to wait on that. Adults can grow to 8 to 15 pounds, 9 to 15 inches long, and live up to 80 years. Okay, so I think I am going to underline the weight. 8 to 15 pounds and 9 to 15 inches long and 80 years. That's interesting to me. 80 years. That's like a typical human lifespan. I mean, some people live longer than that, but when they are young, these tortoises are light brown. After they are adults, they turn gray or dark brown. That's kind of interesting. I'm going to underline light brown and then gray or dark brown. They have stumpy back legs, but their front legs are flat with well-developed muscles, so they can dig their burrows or nests. I'm going to keep going. This is necessary so they can dig a hole in the cool earth because the desert heat can sometimes climb as high as 140 degrees. I think I'm going to underline that, dig hole in the cool earth because the desert heat. I'm going to underline that part. Desert tortoises will spend only a few hours each day outside of their burrows. They never come out when they hibernate from October through February. Okay, we already got that. So let's see how many facts we got. We got 1, 2 about the females, 3 about the size, 4 the years, 5 the color, and then 6. So we could have enough. We have 1 too many, so we can kind of see where we're going to change one or not use one. So the first thing we underlined is the Mojave and Sonoran deserts. So I'm going to put that for number 1, Mojave, comma, Sonoran deserts. The next fact we have underlined is about the female tortoise. So I'm going to put female, those are the girls. And then I'm going to put clutch, and I'm going to put this in quotation marks because that's how it is in the article itself. It has quotation marks around it. That's what it's called. Female clutch 4-6 eggs. Gonna write kind of small here because we got to fit it all in. I think I can combine this next one. The next thing we have underlined is 8 to 15 pounds, 9 to 15 inches long, and then 80 years. What if we did 8-15, and then the symbol for pounds is LBS. Have you guys seen that before? LBS for pounds? Okay, good. So far we haven't used any words yet. And then it says 9 to 15 inches long. So I'm going to put 9-15 inches. And then I'm going to put 80 years. So I have 8 to 15 pounds, 9 to 15 inches, 80 years. And then we underline the part about the color. So when they're young, they're light brown. And then when they're older, they turn gray or dark brown. Okay, so I'm going to put the word young. And then LT for light brown. And then adult DRK BRN. Those are how I'm going to abbreviate that. This is an L right here, by the way, LT. So I have young LT brown, comma, adult DRK BRN, which is going to stand for dark brown. Or gray, but I don't have enough room to put that. So young, light brown, adult, dark brown. The other thing we had underlined was digging a hole in the earth because of the heat, but I don't think I need that. I think I have enough facts here. And now I want to show you how you're going to move these facts down to the fused outline. So once you're done with B, give me a thumbs up when you got all your facts written down there. Okay, good. Good. Hopefully you can see that okay. Okay, good. So here's the thing that's new for you. We've got two sources. They were two different articles, Article A, Article B. We read them, we got the facts, we put them down. Now we're going to move these facts down to one outline. But like I said earlier, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 facts and we only have 6 spots here. So now this is where we're going to pick and choose what we want to put. Okay. So, but the first thing we need to do for number 1 is write down desert tortoise, because that's what we're writing about. Desert tortoise. And we know that it lives in the desert. And then I'm going to look up here and kind of think logically of how we can start our paragraph about desert tortoises. I think the first thing we should talk about is like where they are, right? That kind of makes sense to start there. And the only spot where we put that is right here. I want you to circle the number 1 right here under desert tortoise, under B here, and see how it says Mojave, comma, Sonoran, and deserts. It makes sense to start our paragraph about where they live. So I want you to copy those words here. We're going to move this fact down here to the fused outline. So I want you to copy Mojave, comma, Sonoran, comma, deserts. So what we did was we found that one first and we decided I'm going to use this first in my paragraph. And so I copied it here. After you copy it, you can cross that out now. So we already used that fact. We don't want to copy it again. And then for number 2, I think it makes sense to me if I think logically about writing a paper about tortoises. I think it makes sense to tell a little bit of how they look, or maybe their age, maybe their size, their color. Those kinds of things would make sense to start with. So I'm going to pick this one here about how many inches and how many pounds. So circle 3 right here under B and copy that fact down here on the fused outline. Okay, so we're going to copy 8 to 15 pounds, comma, 9 to 15 inches, comma, 80 years. cross that out once you copy that down. Now I've got just a few more spots here. So I think I like talking about the color. It's interesting that their color gets darker when they're older. So I'm going to copy this one. I know so far I'm only copying things from the B side. But we will pick some things from the other side in a minute here. But I'm going to copy for young, comma, LT, period, brown, comma, adult, comma, DRK, BRN. That's going to stand for dark brown, in case you forget what that means. So when they're young, they're light brown. When they turn to adults, they're dark brown. This is where I think it would be interesting to talk about this one over here, where they live without water for a year. I think that's a good one to put next. Oh yeah, by the way, cross out 4 because we did copy that one. Let's move over here to under A, copy number 2, live, comma, water. We're going to circle that and cross it out. We're just copying exactly here. And then 1 year. I kind of like that next one too, because it says they get water from plants. This would be a good spot to use a because clause, right? They can live without water for 1 year because they get their water from the plants. So to me, that makes sense to talk about where they get their water. So cross out 2 after you copy that. And now I'm going to copy 3, water, comma, from, comma, plants. All right, cross that out. And then the last one I think would be interesting to put about when they hibernate. I know we didn't get to talk about the females and their eggs, but when you do this eventually by yourself, you get to choose what facts you want to put. So I'm just kind of walking you through how to do this. So I would pick 5 next, right here, where it talks about how they hibernate. So I'm going to put hibernate, comma, sleep, comma, October to February. And then cross that out when you get that. This is how you make a fused outline when you have multiple references. So we have 2 references here. We have 2 different articles. We did our usual thing, finding facts, transferring keywords here. This is where it's new. So I want you to just circle with your pen or your pencil the fused outline. This is a combination of both of these. We put them together. We glued them together, basically, right? All the facts. This is how you write your paragraph using only the fused outline, okay? Now when you go to write, you're not going to look at A or B anymore. We're done with those. You're focusing only on the fused outline, okay? This is what you're going to use to write your paragraph. I know we ran out of time, but let me show you the checklist really quick before you go. It's nice. Look at this. It is literally 1 paragraph, okay? You only have 1 set of boxes, 1 paragraph for this report. Easy peasy cheesy. Everything is still the same here. I know we haven't talked about Eat 8 yet because I ran out of time again, but I will eventually talk about that. But everything else is the same. All your dress ups are there, your topic clincher. So your homework is to use just your fused outline only and write 1 paragraph about tortoises. Do you guys have any questions about the homework? Okay, good. So we're going to do more of this next week, but for this week, you're just going to write 1 paragraph, use your checklist, and that's it. Good job, you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.